Fellow citizens, these are solemn days in our republic. Tonight, in the heart of Washington, a president prepares to stand before Congress and the people, with cameras set and the world watching closely. His words may stir crowds, divide parties, and make the headlines by morning. Yet this State of the Union is more than a speech. It is a test of who we are and what our government owes its citizens. Not long ago, the highest court in the land narrowed the reach of presidential power over tariffs. Factories have slowed. Cost of living keeps families up at night. Polls show trust in leadership is low, yet the challenges of trade, jobs, and foreign dangers grow high. In such a moment, what does it mean to govern? And what must we, as a people, demand? Picture a quiet main street at dusk, flags at half-mast, headlights rolling by. Some shop lights still glow, but behind each window, folks talk quietly, wondering how to pay the rent, keep a job, or fill the dinner table with something more than worry. This is not an age for comfort or easy speech. The president will soon take the highest platform in the land. He is expected to talk of rebuilding industry, easing costs, and restoring economic hope, matters familiar to every household. Yet underneath these questions lies a deeper one. By what measure does the government serve the people? And where does leadership cross over into something less, a will to power, rather than a will to serve? We live under a constitution that bars ambition from pushing beyond the lines. Just days ago, the Supreme Court held up a boundary, reminding every president and Congress that law, not appetite, must guide our course. That moment did not make the news for flair or drama, but it will shape every consequence from tonight onward. Imagine a worker in a hard hat, hands rough from years at the line, listening in silence to the State of the Union on a battered radio. He cannot change the law or write a speech, but he feels the pulse of every policy in his household budget, in the price of milk and heat, in whether next week will bring abundance or want. His hope does not rest in grand promises alone. He trusts in leaders who remember that with every power comes a duty, the power to shape trade, to lower costs, or to call troops abroad. Each is held under watchful law. Every action by a president or Congress is a stone added or taken from the bridge of the Republic. Too heavy a load, and it cracks. Too careless a step, and it stumbles. In recent days, party anger has filled the air. Some say now is the time for bold, unchecked action, tariffs, taxes, or new foreign measures, as if speed alone will steady the ship. Others insist that careful debate and lawful boundaries mean weakness or lack of resolve. But I say to you, strength without law is never safety. Action without restraint cannot build what it promises to defend. Think of a family gathered in a modest living room, the light of the television flickering across their faces as the news begins. The mother and father do not care for party slogans. They care whether jobs will stay and bills can be paid. They wish for someone to reach across the aisle, not to score a victory, but to deliver real relief. For them, leadership is not a show, but a question of daily bread. It is this struggle that runs beneath our politics today. Economic challenge, foreign threat, loss of faith in institutions old and new. Yet these are not the first hard wins our republic has faced. History has seen this before. Markets rise and fall. Parties quarrel. Presidents stand on a stage, facing the judgment not only of politicians, but of posterity. But the mark of a republic is not what one speech can fix, but how its people remember their principles. Lawful order is that principle. We are not saved by clever strategy, nor by the might of armies, nor by the sudden shifting of poles. We are saved, if at all, by the patient renewing of trust. Now comes the hour for courage, not just in leaders, but in the common fellowship that binds citizen to citizen. Visualize the House chamber, filled shoulder to shoulder, some faces tight with conflict, others proud and resolute. Members may stand or sit in protest, but none can change the duty that rests upon them, to hear, to weigh, and if need be, to differ, but always within the lines of order and law. That scene is not unlike a schoolroom in a small town, where students must listen before they speak, and where fair rules make debate possible. Tonight some will cheer, some will turn away in silence. Protest may be loud, but true influence moves in quieter ways. in the steadiness of law, in the honest sharing of burdens, in the refusal to let shouting be the last word. Let the leaders of the land remember the humble truth. No office lifts a man or woman above the law. No party line, however clever, can erase the boundaries set for the safety of all. At the same time, let us not despise resolve when it is guided by reasoned counsel. To act is often to risk. The worker needs jobs, the farmer needs markets, and both depend on policies that may require courage. But courage that cannot listen is soon lost, and action that cannot wait for the judgment of law or for the hard wisdom of experience soon finds itself outpaced by consequences unforeseen. Think of a courthouse on a rainy morning, lawyers and citizens gathered for the day's work. The law there is not a shackle, it is a shield, holding back the tides of self-will and reckless ambition. That is the inheritance of every American. Tonight, as the President speaks, many will judge the words not merely for style, but for substance. Not for party gain, but for the balance between vision and respect for boundaries. It is here that the real tension grows. The more uncertain the times, the more power seeks to stretch. The more economic pressure weighs upon the people, the more tempting it is to let power stretch beyond law, to accept strong words and hasty actions in the hope they might deliver us from hardship. At such moments we must remember, the cords that bind us are not woven by impatience, but by a lasting faith in the order of things, and in the wisdom that restraint is not weakness. A president may stand, voice ringing with plans and promises. Bills may be written overnight and laws considered in haste. But the true record of government is not the applause in the moment, but the peace 50 years hence. Freedom lost to fear is not easily reclaimed. Power taken in the name of security can become a habit, long after the crisis has cooled. I imagine an old couple at their kitchen table, radio on, bills stacked high, listening for words of hope and honesty. They have seen hardship before, wars, recessions, disasters, but nothing frightened them so much as the sense that the rules might soon bend, and that no one in power would remember what used to matter. The State of the Union must remind us all. Every law passed, every decree issued, is a stone in the house our children will live in. No comfort is so pressing that it justifies cracking the very foundations. Some urge the President to act now, to force the hand of Congress, to bypass the slow dance of government with a flourish. But a people taught to cheer for unchecked power soon find themselves virtuous only in memory. Why delay when danger is great, they ask. Who needs patience when hunger knocks? But the soul of a nation is measured by how it responds when patience is hardest. Our court, not of one party but of the law, has lately reminded us that even an emergency does not erase all boundaries. The President's role in matters of trade and tariffs must remain as written, not what is wanted, but what is rightfully granted. Let this be a lesson to all who hold office. In America, authority is borrowed. It must be returned each day and each term, unspoiled by selfishness, unmarred by pride. When a president bristles at limits, he stands on dangerous ground, for every moment of unlawful action makes the next crisis harder to bear. Picture the halls of a high school early in the morning, rows of flags, chatter about the day's lessons, the buzz of hope mixed with worry. Young citizens learning by the examples we set. What shall we teach them? That the loudest wins? That shortcut is nobler than struggle? Or that in hardship our true colors emerge, not rage nor panic, but courage held together by duty? Let us be slow to forget that the eyes of the world and the judgment of generations look not for ease but for dignity. When the branches of government contest, when speeches burn and newspapers blare, the real test is this: who defends the lines, not just for their side, but for all sides, so that the game may go on for years to come. So when the President tonight outlines aims to lift production, defend our industries, and lead abroad, let us encourage plans rooted in law, not wish or whim. Let us judge policy not by its speed, but by whether it is anchored in the deep bedrock of constitutional order. Retain the habit of asking, am I called to command or to serve? Shall I yield to the crowd or to conscience? This is the question that faces every official, and in truth, every citizen. America's unity is not forged on days of agreement, but shaped in the fire of honest difference. Division is not what wounds us. Disregard for honest boundaries is what threatens decay. As dusk settles and the President's words echo from city to village and farm, let us gather in the patience of a people grown strong by keeping faith with limits and with each other. What comes after the speech? The real labor, the unsung hours, the steady pulse of a people who build, who vote, who correct what is wrong and mend what is broken. Picture a small bakery before dawn, light rising behind the shelves, the baker kneading dough, radio humming in the corner. News of tariffs and talks far away, but here, only the living cost, the question of whether flour and sugar can still yield a profit. The baker is neither Republican nor Democrat. He is simply a citizen, hoping government will remember him as more than a number. It is for this man, and those like him across the continent, that the founders wrote with careful hand, not to empower the loudest, but to protect every voice. The law shields both the strong and the meek, and in that is its majesty. The challenge of this hour is not only policy or price or speech, it is the quiet contest between hope and cynicism, between citizenship and self-interest. Imagine a teacher in a crowded classroom, maps on the wall, students restless yet listening. She holds a history book and tries to explain how good men and women, pressed by war or fear or hardship, sometimes let fear write their laws. She prays her students will grow to ask better questions, to hold power close, but never so close it cannot be challenged. Tonight, the world may be looking for signs of weakness or division. But the deepest strength of a republic is, and must always be, its capacity for lawful change. When one branch checks another, when one party restrains itself for the sake of unity, when a president submits to the decision of a court, that, and nothing else, is national greatness. Let the sight of a city voting precinct, old poll worker, voters lined beneath a faded sign, hush of civic duty on election day, remind us how thin and precious is this thread we follow. One careless hand can unravel it, but the many, working in patience and respect, can bind a torn flag whole again. For even when leaders disappoint or error, the people can still choose, can still teach their children and neighbors, can urge the better angel rather than the angry one. America's strength is her unity, yes, but her unity is not sameness. It is the music that rises when different voices, strong and clear, play by the same notes. The Constitution, battered and argued over, remains our America's songbook. Think of a long empty school gym before a town assembly. Plastic chairs, folding tables, neighbors in line to speak, to listen, to judge what is said on the merits, not on the passions. This is what democracy looks like. Not always elegant, not always swift, never perfect, but honest, orderly, redeemable. We are not called to worship the leaders of the hour, nor to flinch from hard choices, but to walk forward with eyes open, hearts steady, and the temperate grace to restrain our own hand for the sake of all. Let the memory of this night not be the sharpness of words nor the spectacle of power, but the stillness at day's end, a family turning down the light, a nation less anxious, comforted by the knowledge that law still guides even the highest office. And let us who watch remember what is owed to those who come after, not a heap of easy victories, but a legacy of honest labor, shared burdens, and faithful service. If we dare to hope, let it be in this, that our government, the people's government, may yet prove worthy of the trust that millions have with sweat and sacrifice placed in its care. America endures not because her hands are clean, but because her heart can still be moved to renew, to reconcile, to restore that which is most precious and most fragile. Picture a sunrise on a farm field, soil dark and ready, the day ahead full of work and promise. Our republic is like that field. It needs tending, patience, the right seed, and a faith that storms may come, but spring will follow winter. The republic can be saved. Not all news is black and white. There is hope. If we remember the quiet call to serve country above self, and to question those who make haste with powers borrowed from us alone. So as the President's words fade and tomorrow's news brings fresh debate, I place before you a simple question, one worth more than any party gain. Do we love this union enough to defend its limits, to cherish its order, and, when tempted by fear or pride, to steady our hand for freedom's sake one day longer?